Wow. 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 This was an excellent episode of Better Call Saul. Nailed spoiler review. And where do I begin with this episode? Everything this episode leading up to the season finale was fantastic. I really did enjoy everything about this episode. Now let's recap it a little bit. What this was about. We know that Jimmy messed with the Mesa Verde files that Chuck and Howard had. This was this they took this from Kim. They took it from Kim, fair and square though. They took it fair and square, sort of. I don't know, kind of. And we know Jimmy forged the location of it, and when Chuck and Howard and Mesa Verde, the client and stuff, when they were presenting this to the council, they said, "Oh, hey man, your dates are wrong, or this location is wrong. This is 1916, and I'm looking, I thought that was 1961 or something like that." And they're like, "Oh shit, we'll fix this, right away, and then we'll come back to you right now. Like, we just need a temporary, just leave of absence, just real quick, so we can fix everything." And the guy tells him, "No, dude, you gotta wait 6 weeks." So the guy who, the main guy who Mesa Verde him, the guy who's trying to build this land, get land on there or whatever he's trying to do, he basically tells him like, "Hey, dude, you guys are fucking up. What's wrong with you guys? Like, I came to you guys and you guys fucked it all up." And so Jimmy's plan works, basically. Jimmy's plan works. Mesa Verde, or I like to AKA Chili Verde, calls Kim and tells her, You're our gal. You're a gal. We want you. Chuck and all them fucked it all up. We're gonna, we want you to handle our case." And Chuck does. Chuck says, tells Kim like, "Come over here right away, and I'll give you the files and everything." But right away, when Chuck went back and he was losing his mind, he's like, "No, like, I knew, I saw it. I mean, everything's like, I didn't make a mistake." Even Howard's saying, "Chuck, everybody makes mistakes. You made a mistake. You just got to call it what it is." And Chuck's like, "No, Jimmy." That's basically what Chuck did. So when Kim came. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick today. When Kim went over to Chuck, and Jimmy went with her, because after Kim found out the news, of course they were painting their new office and stuff. Like, Jimmy's like, "Oh, congratulations, Kim! Let's go over there." Chuck changes the locks. Like, Chuck was pissed. Chuck was pissed this episode. He was so hurt and betrayed by Jimmy. Like, he knew right away. He's like, Jimmy. It was Jimmy. So Ernie's there, his assistant or associate who's taking care of him, tells Ernie, "Go home. I wanted to talk to Kim alone, but since Jimmy's here, I'm going to talk to both you guys. I'm going to tell her right in front of your ass, Jimmy." And Chuck goes off. Chuck goes ham, man. He tells Kim, "What's up?" He says, "I think Jimmy forged this documents, went and made copies at some, somewhere around here that he thought he wouldn't be traced. And I think he did. I think he screwed me over. I think he stabbed me in the back." And he's like, "Oh, Kim, you're amazing, but he will bring you down." So, and Kim's like, "Are you sure?" Like, and Jimmy's trying to, throwing in like, "Chuck, you're crazy, this and that." And Kim's like, "Oh, shut up, Jimmy." And then Kim tells him, like, looks at Chuck straight in the eye, and she says, "This is fraud. He can go to jail, this and that. This is your own brother, this and that." And Chuck's like, "I know. That's why I'm hurt. That's what I'm telling you. He did it." And when Kim said, "Do you have any evidence to support this?" And when Chuck said, "I'm his brother. I know that's all the evidence I need." And then when Kim says, "You made a mistake," I was like, "Whew, this is a good episode. This is a very good episode." And at first I'm like, does Kim actually believe Jimmy wouldn't do this stuff? And Chuck's just like, he just can't believe that Kim is just siding with Jimmy. Like, everybody sides with Jimmy once again. So when Jimmy and Kim are in the car, this is what I love about these two. Because Kim knows. Kim, I was telling, because I watched this with my grandmother, and I was telling, like, she pointed out something very awesome. She's got a good eye. I'll tell you that in a minute. When Kim just starts punching Jimmy right in the arm, I was like, that's right. Kim knows Jimmy just as well as his brother Chuck knows him. Just as well. Kim knows Jimmy. So in my mind, there was no way that Kim did not know. Kim didn't believe Chuck. Kim knew. Kim knew. She just, she doesn't want to see Jimmy go to jail, and she definitely, she knew. She knew what she was getting herself into. So she said, "Screw it." And plus, that's Jimmy. She loves Jimmy, and Jimmy did do it for Kim, and Kim knows that. Even Chuck didn't have to tell her that, because Chuck tells like, yeah, some twisted love thing. He did it for you, Kim. He did it for you. So that just tells you this relationship has gone is so good to watch. Like in the very beginning of the Better Call Saul, the first season, I was a little iffy. I was iffy about Kim, her acting, but long as this series has gotten to season 2, the more episodes I've seen, I love this relationship. I love these two. I love them together, but it's a dysfunctional relationship in different kind of ways. So, but it's great. It's great to watch. To see, it's gonna be heartbreaking to see these two actually really split up for good, because we know Breaking Bad. But it has to come, because it seems like Jimmy, as much of good intentions he has, he's still a child. He's still immature, and Kim is the one that has to always clean up his messes or always has to watch his back, when she shouldn't be having to do that. So it's going to be interesting, especially when they're in the bedroom and she gives, Jimmy says, "You want to talk about it?" And Kim's like, "Nope, not ever." And, Jimmy says, "Well, I just want to let you know that Mesa Verde, they're good for you. You're good for them." And then Kim just kind of throws some shade on him. Like, you know what? Chuck's a great. He's very smart. Jimmy's like, "Yeah, he's one of the smartest I've known. No offense." It's like, yeah, he's a great adversary, great rival. He's so smart that somebody left something behind, I bet you who would pick it up. So she was pretty much hinting at Jimmy, you better make sure he can't trace anything. And we do know that basically, we do know that he used a copier at this one place in the copy machines. So Ernie ends up finding it, and then Chuck ends up going there. But I'll get to that right in a minute, because that's the mind bog. That was a very, very powerful scene. Let's start with the beginning of this episode, which I absolutely loved. We start with the truck driver from the last episode, and he's singing away. He's singing this bongo music and stuff. And we see Mike. Finally, I knew he was going to use that hose to blow out his tires. He does that. He's has a ski mask, but before he puts the tape and tapes up the eyes of the truck driver, and steals the money, he looked. I think the truck driver saw his car. The truck driver saw his car. He didn't see Mike, but he saw his car. So that could play a big role. And I think that's what this episode was really about. It's like trying to be untraceable. You think you get away with something, but it comes back to bite you in the ass. With Mike, it came back to bite him in the ass, because Nacho knew that it was Mike, because he told Mike when he met up with Mike, he said, "Yeah, dude, Hector, I believe it's Hector. He's pissed, man. He don't even know you. He forgot all about you. But he's gonna, if he comes finding you and it traces back to you, it's bad on both of us. And then I'm gonna have to put you down." And like he told Mike straight up, like, "I know, I think it was you." Because the truck driver was just, bandaged, whatever. But anybody else, they would have put a cap in him. They would have roughed him up. But you don't pull the trigger. I was like, damn. And my grandma said that right in the beginning of the episode. She's like, "Oh, he didn't beat him up or anything." Like, yeah, no, it's Mike. You don't do that shit. He came and bit him in the ass. Because Nacho tells him, yeah. Or Mike asks him, how come it wasn't in the papers? Why didn't the cops find out? And then freaking Nacho goes, "Because we cleaned that shit up. We made sure that shit wasn't even, like it never happened. We're lucky a good Samaritan came and found the truck driver and helped him out." And then Mike asked what happened to the good Samaritan. Shot him and buried him. So Mike got somebody innocent killed. And Mike was feeling like shit. In the beginning of the episode, he was buying around for everybody. He was like strutting his stuff. Like Jimmy was making a commercial, strutting his stuff. shit comes back, man. That shit comes back and bites you in the ass. So that was a very, it's a very good, like the different. I love how we focus on Mike and he's doing his thing. We focus on Jimmy, he's doing his thing. They don't have to be together, but they're having the same somewhat problems and the same consequences. They parallel with each other. So it was a great, fantastic episode. And then at the end, when Chuck finally goes to that copy machine and Saul or Jimmy pretty much bribed the guy who was working there, saying, hey, that guy Ernie, he's going to come back with Chuck. Listen, you didn't see me. You say no, no, no. He's going to throw you some stuff. You're going to still say no about cops and all that. You're going to say no. When Chuck was interrogating this guy, Chuck was feeling, he didn't have his little crazy blanket, and he was feeling the effects of a lot of the electricity and stuff. So I was like, damn, dude, Chuck's going to pass out, or he's going to beat the shit out of this guy who keeps saying, no, 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 I didn't see Jimmy. And Jimmy's looking outside, he's watching everything. And then Chuck just like completely just the electricity, everything. He's like I said, he passes out, but he hits his head right on the fucking table. His temple hits first. It's bad. When his head smacks onto the table and he goes on the floor, for a minute there, I'm like, that motherfucker is dead. Chuck is dead. But then I was thinking like, no. Chuck's in a coma. But Jimmy, like, just imagine, like Jimmy's reaction was the same as my reaction. He's like, whoa, holy shit. He's like, fuck, like he's not supposed to be there. So he's wondering like, should I call the cops or like, what do I do? Like, oh shit. Or like everybody's like crowding up Chuck. Like he's telling like, come on, hurry up. Do 911. And then the episode ends. I'm like, fuck, dude. Fuck. So consequences. Mike gets an innocent person killed, and Jimmy pays the biggest consequences of it all. Chuck maybe be dead. Chuck is definitely in a coma. That's what I think. He got fucked up, man. And just imagine what Kim's going to think, what Howard's going to think. And Kim, especially after he let Jimmy go, this is probably the last straw. Great episode, great writing. Everything was on rhythm. Everything was on point from the opening to the ending. Very fantastic episode. This is probably my favorite Better Call Saul episode so far of the last two seasons. We're heading into the season finale. The characters were on point. The struggle, the conflict, the consequences, the storyline that parallels between Mike and Jimmy was fantastic. It just flowed right. I mean, honestly, there was nothing I can't really say there was nothing good about this episode because it was great. Like Hector getting pissed off, Nacho fighting out, knowing that, yeah, it's probably Mike. It was great, man. I mean, I really, really liked this episode. I just thought it was fantastic. I thought Chuck that was a crazy ass moment when Chuck's head just bounces off the table. Fantastic. I'm glad that the preview for the Better Call Saul for the season finale, it doesn't show Chuck at all. So I'm glad they're still keeping it kind of secret. So, fantastic episode. My favorite episode, probably the best episode of Better Call Saul. It leads up to the season finale. I'm waiting for great. It's good news. They have confirmed for season 3. So Better Call Saul, fantastic. Fantastic. They nailed it. Pun intended. I'm Danimatic Daniel's son. You can always find all my videos here on my YouTube channel, Danimatic Reviews. Just simply hit the subscribe button. Do it for Saul Goodman. And like the video if you like it and comment below. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. This is by far my favorite episode of Better Call Saul. Let me know if this is yours as well. I'm Danimatic Daniel's son, and I will see you guys next week for the season finale of Better Call Saul. Oh, fantastic episode. Fantastic. Bye, guys.